I've been helping people move better, improve their range of motion, etc. for over 20 years. And there's a few things that I wish I had known at the start of my career that would have seen much better results for my clients and patients, but also for me. Now, in the early days, I would teach everyone to stretch if they had tight hips, me being one of them. And I can get into some pretty reasonable positions now as I move through my little lunchtime routine. But as a kid, I couldn't even sit on the floor with my legs crossed. So I'm not someone who has always been able to do this sort of things. But with tight hips, I did all the stretching. I learned about all the stretching, and I would do the same for my clients and my patients. But in the early days, I noticed people were getting better at their stretches and all these sorts of things, but they weren't necessarily getting better at how they used their movement in real life. They were still getting injury, and certainly I was very, very injury prone as a result. And one of the problems is we're not trying to get better at a stretch. We're not trying to get better at an exercise. We're trying to do things where we can use that in real life. At least that is my goal anyway. I'm sure people do just want to look bendy. It looks awesome on social media, etc., and that's great. But if we're just coming into a stretch and we're just allowing the belly of the muscle to relax a little bit, we have this transient range of motion that we can use for a little while. But the reason we're tight is our brain is constantly assessing threats to our body. And if we don't tell our brain that we're trusted in these positions, we're not going to be able to get there in real life. So what I do now, so let's say for tight hips, we might do a stretch, for example, this sort of thing. And in the Stretch Yourself Strong system, stretching can be here initially as a way to feel safe in a position. We're showing our brain that we're not going to lock up. We're getting used to normalizing what initially is a pain response, but then we want to start doing more with it. And there's a couple of things to think about here. I always say stretching is a skill. Firstly, we need to know what to target. Often in a lunge, we see people coming forward here like this into the belly of the muscle. We want to start to get load into the tendons, so positions are very important. So for our hips particularly, I'm going to rotate my pelvis up here, and I'm going to start to get some load at the top of the hip. I'm going to start to load my tendon. This is important. Now initially I'm doing it fairly relaxed. I'm not doing too much load into these things. I'm normalizing that threat. If we go too hard too early, our brain might perceive this as a threat response, and we'll just continue to lock down in these positions. So we're getting the position first, we're getting our access. Then we want to start to build our capacity. We can do that a few ways. So here in this position, for example, I'm going to look to tuck my hip under, and I'm going to lean back, getting some weight into my back foot. I call this a single leg reverse Nordic. Sounds pretty fancy, it's just kind of a lunge thing, right? So I'm leaning back, weights in my back foot. Now I really feel this quad blowing up, getting some tension, and I'm loading this tendon hard. We can do this just using our body. We could also use some weights. Certainly it looks nicer, much better for social media. Holding something overhead. Now we're really getting this tension into the muscle and the tendon. And we're not only showing our brain that we can be trusted here, we're also getting strong. We're getting strong through our full range of motion. And that is important for us being able to use this in real life. Now, range of motion is different under different conditions, whether that's different loads and also different speeds and also different situations. So we don't want to just get good access to our range of motion here. We want to make a difference in the real world, right? So we need to train these things. Firstly, we're training our nervous system on one hand, but we can start to create some changes at a muscle level. And that's where things like eccentric loading come in. I guess I'm just going to do this in the same spot here because I've got the camera set up. But one way we could do this is doing the same sort of thing here. And now we're just dropping through our full range of motion. I usually like to do this in an elevated split squat, but this sort of thing, we're looking to load the muscle very hard through its full range. When we do so, we do see changes at a physiological level. We see changes to the muscles themselves. And that's important for making sure this change is permanent. In this regard too, we're also looking to put our movements into real life positions that we're in our sport or whatever it is we want to see this transfer into. The other thing to consider is the changes in speed and our access to ranges of motion. So this can be a little bit harder to train. Obviously we want to do sport specific moments, but this does come down to how quickly can we allow our brain to make these muscles contract. So I can even do this from this position in something called an explosive isometric. So I might be here in this position, and this is probably one of the dumbest examples of an exercise you'll see because you can't even see what's going on, but I was going to push my back foot as hard as I can into the ground to get my whole front of my hip and this tendon and everything to load. We could also be at the bottom doing some ballistic type movements here. So I'm going to just be pulsing into these at the bottom. Might even do this with some small jumps and things like this. So we're looking at creating change in the muscle at a fast rate. And in this regard, there's no single one best strategy for this sort of thing, because range of motion changes across different things. We need to bring different techniques in. So there's not one best technique in order to be more mobile, improve mobility, flexibility, stretching, whatever. There's a range of different things that we need to do because they all have different adaptations. So everything works, but the order is important, so we need to get things in order. If you want to know a bit more about that, this is a brief overview, I guess, of what we do in the Stretch Yourself Strong system. It's a 4-phase system where we do put you in order. If you'd like to know more about that, you can watch other videos, you can grab my book. I'll put a link to that somewhere here. And if you've got any questions about this, please ask. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.